Terry Blackburn here. I have a property portfolio worth over £10 million. I've built and sold multiple companies, some in seven-figure deals. I wrote two successful books, one won awards all over the world. All of these awards behind me are national and international awards for some of my companies. Coach people one-on-one, and I run masterminds. Now, if you like what I talk about in this session, if you listen to my podcast, you follow us on Instagram, you follow the YouTube page, if you like what I talk about and I resonate with you and you can relate to me, jump on my website, which is terryblackburnproperty.com. All of the different services that I have is on there. I'd love to work with you and I'd love to help you get to where you want to be, whether that's in property, whether that's in business, whether it's in sales, goal setting, whatever it is that you want to achieve and want to learn. I'm your man. Enjoy the rest of the episode and speak soon.
So hi and welcome to the Rags to Riches show with myself, Terry Blackburn. So today's episode is all about lease options. It's a hot topic. A lot of people are looking at these type deals. It's a creative strategy that not a lot of people know how to do, not a lot of people do them. So I'm going to break down a few things about lease options today, and I'm going to give you an example, a case study that I can talk through which will hopefully make sense to you. So a couple of things to point out with lease options. There's a lease option or there's an exchange with delayed completion. They are different. I don't do the option as in I have the option to buy the property. I'll do an exchange with delayed completion. I don't personally like this option thing. I don't think that's good enough or fair for the vendor, right? I give the vendor extra security where I exchange contracts and I typically delay the completion by 2 years, sometimes 3 or 5 years. But there is a difference, right? Some people call them, when you say lease options, it is a generic term. So it can be misconstrued sometimes. So there's a lease option where there's a contract in place where you have the option to buy the property within a period, but you can just back out and not. Or there's the way I do it, which is you exchange contracts and I'm legally bound to complete, or someone else completes within the period. Okay, so there is a difference. Just want to make that really clear. But let's go through a case study of one of the deals that I've done recently. I'm going to explain it, so hopefully it'll start to hit home what I've done and how you can do it too, and some of the benefits of doing lease options, okay? So, let me just get these on here. So this property in particular here it's a 2-bed semi in North Wales, okay? So this landlord wanted a quick sale, but the property was tenanted. So it had a tenant already in there. It had been on the market for quite some time and he couldn't sell it. But the vendor was really keen to sell the property, right? But it's stuck on the market, so there's a pain point there, right? The vendor wanted to sell, but he couldn't. So I found out what the vendor wanted, and he wanted to sell that property because he wanted the equity from the property to set up a new business. He had a business venture that he wanted to do. I think it was a sunbed shop from memory. So once I knew that information, I thought, right, so this guy wants to sell his property that's tenanted. He's had it on the market a while and he can't. And the reason he wants to sell is he wants some capital to start his business venture. So I thought, okay, there's an opportunity here to give him what he wants, the vendor, and I can get a creative deal here. So what I did was I offered him an exchange with delayed completion. I agreed a price in the future of 110,000. So I agreed with him, in 2 years' time, I'm going to pay you 110 grand. Not now, in 2 years' time. But what I'll do now is I'll pay you £8,000 up front, which he gets on exchange. So 3-4 weeks from agreeing this, on exchange, he gets his 8 grand, so then he can go and do his sunbed business venture, whatever he wanted to do. So what I'm doing is that I'm creating a win-win, right? So he wants some equity out of the property by selling it, but he can't. So I can solve that by giving him some equity now without completing. So that's called option consideration. So I paid him 8 grand. He was happy because he thought, right, well, I can start my business venture. I can basically it's like selling the property, but without selling the property. Yeah? So upon exchange, you pay him option consideration of £8,000 in this example. But then from exchange, I can control that property. So I can benefit from the rent. I have to also deal with maintenance, tenant voids, tenant issues, of course. So I have to deal with some things, but ultimately he can just walk away He gets the rest of his money in 2 years and he gets 8 grand now. So he's thinking, happy days. It's just like I've sold part of the property and I'll get the rest of my money in 2 years. It's a win-win, right? But on this deal in particular, because I control the property from exchange, any rent that comes in comes to me. I then pay the vendor's mortgage for him during this period. So I was making 425 quid net profit per month. I then, and this is the good bit, so from exchange, before the 2-year completion date, I resold this property on. So your options are, when you exchange, you can then complete yourself within the 2-year period, or you have something called the right to assign, where you can sell that property to somebody else within that period. And anything above 110, I'll keep. Because I've agreed 110 grand in the future, right? Don't worry if you're losing us on this, but I will pull it together. So I agreed with him 110k in 2 years' time. I paid him 8 grand up front. But then within that 2 years, I resold the property and I made 34,388 quid by reselling it on. Plus I had 425 quid a month in cash flow during that period. So all in all, after you take away the 8 grand that I paid him, I made 32 grand 763 quid in 15 months. But there's a couple of key points here, right? So I created a win-win for this landlord here, didn't I? Because he wanted to sell his property and he couldn't. It had been on the market ages. He wanted equity out to start his business venture. I gave him the equity. I gave him some of the equity out of the property so he could start his business venture. Yeah? I took control of the property from exchange and then I resold it before completion. But the beauty of this for me is it's a win-win for both of us, but I didn't need a mortgage, right? So I didn't have to do all the bullshit, the bank statements, P60s, proof of ID, proof of address, all that crap, because the mortgage stays in the vendor's name. I just pay it on his behalf. Yeah? Because I exchanged contracts and I didn't complete on it, somebody else did. Yeah, because I exchanged and I resold it before completion to somebody else, yeah? Or not resold it, somebody else bought it during the exchange period. What happens there is I don't pay stamp duty. Yeah? So what's just happened to stamp duty? It just went up 2%, right? It's a hot topic. But when you do a lease option and you resell it within the option period, you don't have to pay stamp duty. So I'm getting cash flow, I'm getting capital appreciation and profit if you resell it without a mortgage, without the arrangement fees, the valuation fees and all the nonsense, and I'm not paying stamp duty. Just by being able to do these creative deal structures, which I teach in my mastermind, by the way, in detail, teach you exactly how to find these, secure these, fund them, negotiate them, exit them, maximize profit on them. They're a fantastic way to scale. So it only cost me 8 grand to buy this property, or to do this deal, should I say, because I didn't technically buy it, I exchanged on it. But 8 grand, right? Imagine most people listening to this have got 8 grand. Like, you can do deals like this, and I've did multiple where they're low money down. They're not no money down, they are low money down. And you're not dealing with bridging lenders, you're not dealing with mortgage lenders, you're not dealing with, stamp duty, and you're getting cash flow day one. You're getting capital appreciation as long as you get a decent price. And you can either complete on it yourself in 2 years' time, or you could resell on and get lumps of profit. So cash flow and profit, and there's no stamp and no mortgages involved. I mean, that's a pretty good thing, right? There's lots of benefits there against traditional investing. In creative investing, what I teach in my mastermind is a completely different way of doing property investing. But it's a massively profitable and it's a quicker way to do things. Because when you exchange on a property with no mortgage involved, it's literally 3 to 4 weeks. You know, if you've been through the mortgage process recently, how long that nonsense has taken. It's 3 months with lenders at the minute. Solicitors being ridiculous. Lenders asking for like your waist size, your dog's name and your fucking gym membership just to get a mortgage. It's you don't have any of that shit. Any of it. So it's low money down, you're getting cash flow and profit, no mortgages, no stamp. If you don't know how to do lease options, you need to learn, because they're a fantastic way to scale your business at speed that's really, really profitable. So couple of key points on these as well. So when you like, I teach this in detail, obviously, and we can't do all of it today. But one of the keys to doing this is when you view a property, you need to speak to the vendor or email the vendor or get information from the estate agent about the vendor about why they are selling. If you don't know that, you're going to struggle to do one of these deals because they're not right for everybody. Like if something's been on the market for quite some time, it's tenanted, that's an indication there could be a lease option. Yeah, mostly tenanted stock lease options. But you need to understand why they are selling so that you can craft an offer to give them a win so they get what they want ultimately and you can get what you want too. Yeah, but they need to be on the market a while generally. They need to be tenanted. But you need some information first, which I do on email, an email negotiation back and forth to capture the information so I can design an offer. But like I mentioned, they are a low money down strategy. You're going to get cash flow from pretty much day one. You're going to get capital appreciation as long as you get it at a bit of a discount. And you can ultimately do deals that others can't, and you can do them quicker than others as well. So there's lots of benefits. There's lots of reasons why the vendor would do these too, because you're solving their problems. And it's all done by solicitors, you know, it's all legally done by proper solicitors. I've got a couple of solicitors that I work with who are comfortable and confident, and they've done these lease options and things like assisted sales loads of times. So you need to make sure that you're using a good solicitor, obviously. And I share the details with these people in my mastermind. I've got 2 solicitors that are red hot at doing these. They're really, really good. And ultimately, these deals are harder to find. You just need to know how to find them. And this is another tool in your tool belt to make you a better property investor. So that's lease options. If you're interested in them, reach out. I'm going to start doing more content around these because I've been doing these quite some time now, and people are interested in them, you know, quite a bit. 0 stamp duty. Look at all the kick-offs about stamp duty. The budget, Keir Starmer's ruined it. All of this nonsense. But stamp duty doesn't apply to these. So that's one solution, right? So hope you've enjoyed that. If you know somebody who's interested in creative financing strategies, interested in creative property investments, send them this podcast, click the share button, send it to them on WhatsApp. Hopefully I can help them just like I've helped you. And if you're interested in the mastermind, anything I've discussed or learning a bit more about these, send us a message on Instagram and I can have a chat with you and see if you're right for the program. So don't just take notes, take action.
Oh, right.
That was good timing. Yeah, that's fine.
Just say the take note, take action one more time.
Yeah. And remember, don't just take notes, take action.